It took me so long to perfect the everyday makeup look for pale skin because I was always going off of other people's makeup routines and the makeup looked really good on them, but the second I tried to recreate it, it looked so heavy and it just looked off on me. That sounds familiar. You probably have fair pale skin and you know that makeup can just look so much on us very easily. Does that make sense? You probably know what I'm saying, where like things can be really pigmented and sort of drag our face down and look really makeup-y instead of us being the focus of attention. So throughout my trials and tribulations, I created this whole everyday makeup routine that has worked so well for my skin, and I just want to prevent you from making the same mistakes I did and buying products that just aren't going to work. These are all of my favorite products and recommendations, and I also want to do this as an updated version because there's so many new products that I've discovered as well that have been so great for my skin, and I can't wait to share them. If you find this helpful and enjoyable, please don't forget to subscribe. I have tons of other videos for fair skin, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it at any point so other people with fair skin can also learn these great tips. Let's go ahead and get into my everyday makeup routine. Getting right into it, there's a couple prep products I've been really wanting to talk about. First is actually a new launch from Make Beauty. This is a new lip formulation. If you tried their lip mask, it's amazing. And they came out with this new, it's called their Inner Tube Plumping Lip Treatment. And this is actually designed to plump your lips, not just like instantly like give you the tingly plump, but over time. I love that Make Beauty always does like really scientific formulas, and I don't know if it's placebo or what, but I feel like this is actually working and it makes my lips just like look so smooth. Love the formula, so I like to do this right before makeup. And then I've also just recently tried this but have been really enjoying it, especially for fair skin. When you have dark circles, a lot of discoloration, having an under eye product like this can be really helpful. This is the PACIFICA Dreamlit Glow Under Eye Brightener, and it's not like a peach tone, so you don't have to worry about it like matching your skin or looking weird. It's basically like a translucent under eye primer, has a slight bit of glow to it, but I feel like it really preps my eyes for concealers. It's nice and light and it does not pill with concealer either. So I've just been really liking the like subtle brightness that this adds to my face without having to, you know, actually color correct. I don't color correct my under eyes all the time depending on how bad I feel like my dark circles are. I've just been using this lately. And then to actually prime my face, I love the COVERGIRL Color Correcting Primer because it helps with my redness a ton. This is one of my favorite primers in general, not even just drugstore. It's so good. It's a nice moisturizing formula. You may have already heard me talk about it, but I feel like especially for fair skin, you may get a lot of redness or discoloration. A color correcting primer as a base is really going to help reduce the amount of product that you have to put on your face, and it's just gonna be perfect for under foundation. And I don't find that either of these products really take any time to like sink in, or you have to wait a certain amount of time before you go into makeup. They really were designed to use like directly under makeup, which I really like. For my foundation, for my pale skin makeup routine lately, I have been using a different one. I like to use a little bit more coverage in like the fall and winter sometimes if I'm just wanting like a more perfected look. I love the About Face foundation year round, but I've been really liking the Smashbox Always On foundation. This is the shade F10W, which is quite a yellow shade, but I feel like it matches me quite well. This is such a good formula if you have like normal to combo skin. It's a skin balancing foundation with hyaluronic acid and adaptogens, so it has those skincare benefits. It doesn't dry out your skin, but it gives you that like really perfected look. I'm just gonna start with one pump, and I like using a sponge with this, and I like using the round end of the sponge, and I just like to get the product onto the sponge first. It really helps use less foundation versus dabbing it right on your face. Sort of see as you go what kind of coverage you're getting, and usually this first pump will cover about half of my face. Hopefully you can see the difference there. I do really like the shade. I feel like it's a pretty good match. Just evens out the skin tone, has a nice like, it's leaning a little bit more matte, but it's like a satin matte finish, and it's really long lasting. It doesn't feel too heavy either. And with doing fair skin everyday makeup, I think perfecting the base for me would be the #1 priority. Just finding a formula that works for your skin but also matches your skin tone, so that way it actually enhances your skin, because if we're wearing foundations that are too warm, orange, or too pink, that just don't match our skin undertone or shade. I know it's so hard to find a foundation match, so I will put like a master list of my best matching foundations in case you are similar in skin tone to me and you wanted to know like some brands or formulas that make some very fair shades. For any additional coverage, I've been been really enjoying the Bare Minerals Bare Pro 16-hour wear. It's the all over skin perfecting matte concealer, SPF 25. The shade range in this, I feel like Bare Minerals is usually really peachy or really orange. The concealer formula for this, I think the shades they did a little bit of a better job with. This is the shade Fair 100 Cool, which is definitely like still not super light, but I feel like for the face, quite a good match, even though we have that slightly more like yellow base on. Just gonna go in with this in any areas I just want like a little bit of extra coverage, so like sort of my dark spots. Foundation was quite like medium coverage, so this is really nice to build upon that. And I just like going in with that same sponge. Now my under eyes are just beaming dark and definitely need some concealer. So I've been really liking the SURRATT concealer. This is the shade 1, the Dewdrop concealer. This is one of the lightest concealers I've ever tried, and it's a really nice like neutral undertone. This is just, I love this because it's actually brightening on my skin and it's a good concealer formula. And I'm very picky about concealers. It's almost like a white shade, so if you wanted something that actually brightens your under eyes, I have been really enjoying the shade and the formula of this. I actually do quite a lot of this product. I find this formula really thin, and I usually like to blend it out quite quickly. Gives you just really nice even coverage. Definitely difficult to find concealers that are truly brightening on me, so that's why I really do recommend this one. Just feeling like concealers that you're trying are not light enough for you. I'm actually just gonna do a touch more right in these sort of hits of my eyes, I guess, just to brighten that even further. For powders, the first one I recommend is from COLÉ. This is their Skin Melt Loose Powder. Now this is called translucent. It has a slight bit of coverage to it though. I usually hate these kinds of powders that have a little bit of color to them because they end up being like so cakey and thick on my under eyes. This has been the one exception though. I have been loving this powder, and I do find that this color, the translucent shade, isn't too dark, so it doesn't cast dark on my under eyes, similar to how like the Laura Mercier one has that little bit of a yellow tint. This one really doesn't, and it's so beautifully smoothing. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually use this one for my under eyes. I really like the flip top packaging as well. So just taking a little bit of that on my Real Techniques under eye brush. I've been using these brushes for so long. What are they even called? The setting brushes. They're just the perfect shape, and I'm just gonna go ahead and press that in, mostly just in the under eye area. I also find that powders like this that just have like a hint of color to them, especially if you're dealing with dark under eyes or like discoloration, can help to bring the evenness and smoothness to the skin. So if you can find a formula you like, I recommend something that has a little bit of coverage like this one. I also like the Maybelline Fit Me powder in the lightest shade. That one is nice and bright as well if you want a drugstore option, but I think I like this formula more. It's a little bit more smoothing than the Maybelline one. Now for the rest of the face, I'm gonna use my FLORASIS powder. This is the gorgeous Peach Blossom powder. Really recommend this brand. It's a C Beauty brand. Their powders for fair skin are amazing. They have truly translucent versions like this one, but they also have pressed versions that have a little bit of like a lavender tint. They have a lot of different like very subtle shades that can be so pretty on fair skin, and their packaging is just insanely beautiful. And this is such a beautiful, super thin, like perfecting powder. I love using the puff that it comes with just to press it onto the skin. Really fair skin friendly. Like this is so silky smooth and does not alter the shade of your foundation. Also find it really nice and gentle for sensitive skin, and yeah, they're beautiful. I have this loose one in my everyday makeup drawer, and then I have my pressed version in my bag for touch-ups. And I know this one specifically doesn't have a tint to it, but if you have pale skin and you haven't tried just a little bit of a tinted powder, whether that's like lavender, maybe a slightly yellow one, if you feel like your foundation's pulled really cool, they can be really helpful. Nowadays there's a lot of very pigmented under eye powders, like the Huda Beauty ones, or like the One Size, the pinks and yellows. I have tried the One Size one. It's so pigmented, it's literally like a blush, so I would say avoid those formulas and go with something like this FLORASIS brand. They do them a lot more subtly. I feel like I need to try more like C Beauty and K Beauty, because they really do make a lot of products that are fair skin friendly, because of just like they have a lot of pastel tones. So I recommend checking that brand out for sure. And if you have any K Beauty or C Beauty or any sort of Asian beauty favorites, let me know below. But now that we have that like really smooth perfected base going, we could add a little bit of color back into the face. For my bronzer, you know, I absolutely love my RMS Beachwalk Betty bronzer. This has a slight glow to it. Because our skin is so matte today, I do like to go in with this one, but even if it's not, I just love this bronzer so much. If you want other kinds of recommendations though, like creams, other powders, matte options, I have a full bronzer guide. I will have that linked below. But I'm gonna go ahead and use this RÈPHR 18 brush. I think having fair skin, looking for the right brush brushes can be very helpful as well. This one is like it's fluffy, a little bit dense, but not too dense. Especially using a product that can show up really harsh on us, just bronzer in general. This one doesn't, but finding a brush that is a little bit looser can help you diffuse the color, so you're not going to end up with like a big blob of color on your face. So what I like to do is dab this into the product, and then one of my favorite tricks, make sure you're blending into your hand before you put this brush on your face. Even if you feel like there's not too much product, it just really is like safety measure, I guess, to prevent basically ruining your makeup, because it can be really hard to tone back down bronzers or things that can be really harsh on us if we go too heavy-handed at first. And now as I'm applying this, you should see it just applies it perfectly, smoothly. The tone of this is perfectly neutral and it doesn't pull orange at all. And then for contour, this Sephora collection contour product is so good for fair skin. It's the Fair to Light shade. It's a very, very light cool tone. It looks like it might be a little bit too gray, but I don't find that it pulls too gray because it's not super pigmented, which is another thing I definitely look for in contour. So I'm just using a small brush, getting that excess off, and I'm just going to lightly contour my nose. Also recommend using a fluffier brush for contour, again, for the same reason as the bronzer. Just gonna get a lot more of a diffused finish. So I just like to lightly do my nose, right under the lips, and then I'll actually just go back in with my bronzer brush to blend those colors together and do a little bit under the cheekbones. Go very light-handed with this, and then whatever is left I will sculpt right below the jawline. If you feel like your contour isn't blending very well, you could also try doing it before bronzer. That way you have even more blending time on top of it. And if you want to clean this up, you could always go back in with your slightly tinted powder just right under there. Before we do blush, I actually am going to do highlight because I'm doing a cream blush, so I like to do all my powders first. I really like this DIOR highlight palette. I saw their holiday collection and they have a new version of this palette that has like a lilac, a blue highlight that looks beautiful for fair skin. That collection in general, I really have my eye on because it looks so pretty for pale skin. It has a lot of like cool ethereal tones, which I love for a slightly different take on like a holiday collection. But love a fan brush. This also applies things nice and lightly. What I do is mix these top two shades, this white shade and then this pink, and then I go ahead on the tops of the cheekbones, right down the center of the nose. And that's about it for highlight. Now, since the face is definitely a very like matte finish, I like to go into something with a little bit of glow to add the life back to our face, because we can look flat and sort of have no dimension very easily just because we don't have a lot of pigment in our skin. So I really like this one from Merit Beauty. This is the Mood Cheek Color. This is such a pretty, I mentioned this in my fall makeup video. It's like a berry tone. It's a little bit more muted and not as like punchy. And this formula is nice and thin, so I feel like it just washes out nicely. And I would say to avoid applying this directly on your face, I feel like it's sheer enough to get away with. I like to use a sponge, get it on my sponge first. Also just another measure to prevent us from having too much product on our face. And then I like to stipple it in. See how pretty and subtle it is? Like the color can look intimidating by the depth of it, but promise it's gorgeous. In general, with fair skin makeup or pale skin makeup, you can wear really any shade you want. Just look for more sheer formulas, and I know that more pigmented formulas are super popular nowadays, like the Rare Beauty types of blushes. I know they can be tempting, they can be very pretty, but it's just keep in mind it's gonna be a lot easier to use a sheer product on your skin. Ooh, it's so pretty. It has such a nice cool tone. Now that I'm really happy with how the face is looking, let's move on to the brows. I do have new brow products I've been obsessed with. First, this is also a new launch from Make Beauty. It's the Infinite Brow Nano Pencil. This is the shade Cool Taupe, which is such a nice shade if you have hair similar to my color. Super fine tip. So let me go ahead and do these brows. And then this is more so a technique for people with sparser brows, but I like to layer a pencil with a powder. That product got me back into brow pencils. I really like this KVD brow powder. They don't make this anymore. I have to find a new one that'll replace it. Has a little bit of shine to it, but it's nice and pigmented, so you don't have to like layer up a ton of product and get like those textured looking brows. But I really find this helps fill in the gaps that I can't really like get with a pencil, and I don't want to go over too many times. So I like to just take this on a very precise little, this is a BK Beauty 208. So tiny, I absolutely love this. And then I'll sort of just feather the powder where I really need it. And I also like to reserve the brow powder for the front of the brows to fill those in with a really soft look. But if you use a pencil, it can be easy to like go harsh really quickly or like have them look blocky, so powders are really nice for that aspect. If any of you are dressing up for Halloween, I would love to know your costumes. I also need ideas myself. If you have any ideas, I would Love, love, love to know in the comments below. But moving on, the other product that was in the Make Beauty new brow collection is the Infinite Hold Sculpting Brow Gel. This is the best brow gel I've used in like years, I swear. So the way I would describe this is it holds your brows amazing. Like, it's a strong hold gel without that like crusty feel, but also without the gummy or like sticky feel that products like the NYX brow glue or the e.l.f. like wax can feel like. I really hate that texture, and I feel like it also doesn't hold very well on my brows. This has like a little dual end applicator, so one end picks up quite a lot of the product. So what I like to do is just initially brush that in, and then the other side that has longer bristles, I like to use that to brush the product up in through the brows. And this is so good. Usually I'm not crazy about brow gels, like I feel like a lot of them are similar. I tried this, I was like, finally something that actually holds my brows up. It's amazing. I feel like I always feel the intention and hard work they like put into their formulas to actually make them like new good formulas and not just like releasing products. So they're such a cool brand. For eyes, I feel like it depends on what kind of shades or tones that you like. If you have a darker hair and you have pale skin, you could pull off pretty bold eye makeup. For me, since I'm overall a very, not only my features light, but just like my visual weight isn't very heavy, so I like to go quite soft with my everyday eyeshadow looks. This is a NATASHA DENONA I Need a Nude palette shell, but the inside is actually a combination of the I Need a Nude palette and the Xenon palette. I love both of those. The Xenon is like Cool Tone Lover's dream, but if you want something like a little more neutral, then I love the I Need a Nude. I think these are great investments. I think the I Need a Nude and the Xenon are like perfect for people with pale skin. Really recommend them. But anyway, let's move on to the eyeshadow look I've been doing. I like to mix these two top shades here. This one's from the Xenon palette and this is from the I Need a Nude. It's just like a neutral taupe. And the reason I mix them is just to mute that taupe shade even further. I like using a big fluffy brush, and this is going to be my transition shade. And then I've been really liking going in with this MAC Satin Taupe shadow. This is a frost. It's not like, I guess it is a metallic shade. I feel like it's so nice and soft though. I love the shade. It's a really true just like taupe, and I like to put this on the outer corner of my eye, and then I will blend it slightly into the crease. If you love a cool tone taupe, this one is gorgeous. And then once that's laid down, I just go in with my fluffier brush to blend it in. These blend, like the MAC shadows just blend so well. And then I also take whatever is left on that brush on the lower lash line. I went a little bit low today by accident, but you know, that's all right. And then this is pretty much what I do for the crease. And then I love these NATASHA DENONA formulas. They sort of have this like wet look to them. This is a normal shimmer, but these three, actually these four here, all have that like wet look to them, and I usually on the daily basis either go with this one from the Xenon palette or the light pink from the I Need a Nude. I think I'm feeling the silver today though, and this is just so pretty for fair skin. I think using a shade that's lighter than your skin, so like either a white or a silver or a really light pink, really enhances just like the lightness of your skin and gives you that like ethereal effect. I really, really love this. And then also I think a big necessity is finding a shade, a matte shade that will actually highlight. So for me, that's literally this pure white. I'm almost hitting pan on this. This one is also from the Xenon palette, and I like to do this in the inner corner and on the brow bone. Even if I do a shimmer on the inner corner on top of this, I like laying this down right in the inner corners a little bit more. And then I go into this shimmery white down here, also from the Xenon palette. And then if you really want your eyes to pop, I love using a metallic liner in the waterline, and one that's actually light. This is the Calabasas one from ColourPop. NYX also makes the great, what are they called? Epic Wear metallic liners. You know I love those as well. Really hard to talk and do this. And then for my liner, I like to go in with a deep brown shadow liner. This just gives me a softer look in general, but a liquid liner could work as well. And I'm just taking an angled brush, and then I just like to stamp this on, and then I'll just go ahead and wing it out. We can always clean this up after. And then I also like to take this on the lower lash line and kind of do like the Marilyn Monroe trick where it's a shadow of your upper lashes. Actually, the good guideline for this is, I don't know, at least on my eyes, I have like a crease right here, like a little bit of a wrinkly area, and that's usually where I will put this shade. And then I like to go in with a brush just to soften it. This one just doesn't have any product on it. And then in the middle of those two, you can do a shimmer, or you can just take a matte white and then sort of like highlight in between those two. So I feel like if eyeshadow looks really heavy on you easily, like it does for me, I don't like to do a lot of dark colors, but like just a little trick like that can make things seem more glam without, you know, having to put a ton of like darker colors on. I feel like I did not do the best job on my brows today, even though I was just raving about those products. I swear it's me and not the products. I just sometimes rush through them so much. But that is about it for the eyeshadow. I like to go in with a mascara, obviously. I usually use a brown mascara. I like the Maybelline Sky High mascara in brown, but I've been using the Firework one just because it's my newer one. And then I also really like the burgundy color from CoverGirl. This is Berry Brown. This one is so gorgeous. If you have light skin and light features like I do, a softer mascara can really help things look more natural if that's what you're going for. But I've been doing like a little bit more makeup lately, so I don't mind black mascara. And go ahead and curl my lashes first. The overarching theme for me for doing my eyes with very light skin is finding the tones that work for me. I used to only exclusively wear warm tones, and now cool tones are my absolute favorite because they look softer and more natural just on my skin. And that same goes with like the eyeliner technique. It's softer using shadow, and then if I'm doing like a brown mascara. But like I mentioned before, if you do have darker hair and light skin, you could definitely pull off more contrast in your makeup. That's just my tips for having lower contrast features. For lips, I have a lot of good recommendations for you here. I don't have any new lip liner recommendations. I just have my classics, which is the ColourPop Cool BFF lip liner. This is absolutely perfect. It's like a nude taupe, like actually matches my lip color. It's amazing. You want something a little bit deeper, the shade Ashton is sort of like a slightly deeper version of Cool BFF, very slightly. They have a very similar nice cool undertone. And then I think I'm gonna go ahead and throw on Cool BFF. And that lip balm has had a nice amount of time to just sit on the lips. I think lips is where it really comes together for fair skin, especially if you have light lips like I do. Like they have no outline basically. So lip color can really help just bring things to life. Oh, one thing I actually like to do for my skin as well is go into this brown and get off most of the excess with this little tiny RèPHR 23 brush right on my beauty marks. I just like to redarken them. Any defining feature like that, I feel like if you have pale skin, I think it's just nice to like redefine them. The lipsticks I have been loving for fair skin lately. First is a new drugstore option. This is from Revlon. This is a cream shade 668 in the shade Primrose. This is a very light, cool toned, like lilac pink. It actually pulls like almost too cool on me, like very, very cool toned Barbie pink. I know someone was looking for a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Fair lipstick, the Pillow Talk Fair. Haven't tried this, but I think this might kind of get like a similar vibe to that. I will have to try it to see. But I've also really been liking the Armess. This is the legendary lipstick in the shade Naomi. This is like my slightly deeper berry version. I don't find that it pulls too warm on me. It's definitely more of like a cool mauvey berry, and it's a really hydrating matte formula. Then I also recently tried this. This is the Revi Beauty Effortless Lips in the shade Dahlia. This is the perfect cool tone shade. You wanted to try this formula and wanted a cool tone. I have been really, really liking this formula. So smooth, so I'm actually gonna put this one on today. I was unsure of what shade to get, but this one really does not pull warm, and it's like the perfect neutral pink, especially for fair skin. And then I recently tried this new formula from Bloom Effects. Look how cute this little case is with a mirror. This is an SPF lip product. It's an SPF 40 plus. This is a mineral based lip sunscreen though. I can never imagine doing the chemical sunscreen on my lips. I can't even do it on my face. I feel like it would taste so bad, but this is the lip oil sunscreen, and they're really pigmented, and this is the shade Fruit Punch. I think the shades and like this packaging is so cool, and this is a really pretty like mid-tone neutral pink. If I want to do just like a little bit of color and have SPF protection, I wanted to mention these because I think they're such a cool product. And then I've also really been enjoying the Victoria Beckham Posh Lip Gloss. This is the shade Fizz. I really like the bikini shade, which was like the nude one, but my purse got stolen and that wasn't it, so devastating. But I love, love, love this formula. It's so smooth, not sticky, and the shade is like the perfect cool tone purple to wear on its own if you just want like a little bit of color. And if you have fair skin, by the way, I think blurring out like your lip liner and lipsticks can go a long way. I do just always do that with my lip liners, but even using just like a more blurred formula like the RMS one and just like going in to soften the line, I think helps colors look more natural and seamless on our face when they're nice and blended versus having harsh outlines. And now I just feel like I need some setting mist to lock it all in. This is the Pixi Makeup Fixing Mist. So that was my full updated everyday makeup for pale / fair skin. If you need any other help or you have like specific fair skin issues, let me know them down below so I can make some future videos about it. But if you do enjoy my channel and find these videos helpful, please don't forget to subscribe and give these videos a thumbs up. Helps other people who may have a similar skin tone get these nice tips that I curated as well. But thank you for watching, and I hope you found some new products to try out. It was great to share these with you. I'm gonna go ahead and put my fair skin playlist on the screen here so we can keep hanging out and keep learning best tips for fair skin. So I'll see you over there. Bye.